Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to create a tunnel animation. First, what we'll need to do is maximize our top viewport, then go into create shapes and draw a line. Now the line that we're drawing will be our tunnel course, so trying to make it as smooth as possible, because when we do create the tunnel we don't want sharp or rigid edges, we want it to flow nicely. So having it So trying to avoid those really sharp turns, because that will take effect, and when we obviously apply our tunnel and donut to it, again that will be seen through this. There we go. So let's say we're happy with that. That will be our tunnel course, so we'll start over here and go along. Now because this corner is quite tight, you might see the effects of that when we apply our donut to it, but that's something that we can, go into the future and change if need be. It will just show the effects. Now jumping into our perspective view, we want to go back over here and select donut. Now drawing the size of the donut here will affect the tunnel itself, so not drawing it too small or too big, drawing it to the size you're wanting. So that's the outer size of the tunnel, and then you've got this second one here. So the inner circle here will allow the size of the hole itself. So obviously right there's a really small hole, and then the bigger it gets. Now I'm wanting quite a large one because it's a tunnel for cars for this purpose. So we can go out like that. Once we've drawn that, select our line, go back to geometry and select the drop down menu, select compound objects, loft, and then select get shape. Now this is where we're going to select our donut, and the donut form is going to apply to the line. So selecting that, as you can see. So that corner, didn't turn out too bad on the outside there, but on the inside, if we rotate this way, you can see what I mean, where it gets a bit creased there. So just keeping that in mind when drawing out your lines. Now what we'll need to do is jumping over here again, select camera and then select free. Then clicking into your model space anywhere, a camera will then import there. Now because the camera is already selected, we're going to go up here to animation, select constraints and then path constraint. Now this will have a dotted line because we're wanting it to connect to the path, because we're wanting the camera to follow the path along the tunnel so that we can get that annotation and video through the tunnel itself. So selecting that line, and as you can see, the camera has moved in place. Now sometimes the camera will be placed, further into the tunnel like this or along the line. All you'll need to do is just move it by dragging it and pulling it all the way to the start or where you're wanting it to start. Now a really important thing is to make sure that your animation bar down here is at 0 out of 100, because 0 out of 100 is the start point, and that's where we're wanting the camera to start. So if it's not, it will be down here. So before importing your camera, making sure it's at 0 out of 100. Otherwise, if you import your camera and it's sitting at 35, then that will be your start point, whereas you're wanting it to be back here. Now, as you can see, it's obviously facing down. We're wanting it to face up so it can flow through. Down here, you'll need to go down and select follow, because first we're wanting it to follow that path. Then scrolling down to position, and we're wanting it to be positioned along the axis here. So you can change it. And as you can see, depending on the axes you select, it will change. So even it's still facing down, you can flip it. That'll flip the other way. So there's other ways you can try to position the camera right. Allow upside down, things like that. So you've got to play around with it. Otherwise what you can simply do is you can get the rotate, and you can rotate it around if you like also. So we've gone Z axis, flip, and allow upside down, and our camera is facing, and as you can see there, you can see the camera view. Pulling that all the way back. Then what we want to do is go down here to our annotation tools and select time configuration. Now we've already set our start point at 0 out of 100. Now our end point. Now because our tunnel is quite long, 100 may not be long enough. So this is basically setting it where it's going to stop. What we're going to do is if we change that to 150 and then select OK, you can see here that that's jumped up to 150 so that the tunnel can go a bit longer. So you can hit play and you can watch the camera go through and see how long you need. So mine sort of stops about 100 there, as you can see. So I could probably jump back in here, change it back to 100. And that's a good length for the length of my tunnel. So obviously the longer the tunnel, the higher it's going to need to be, so that the camera runs through the whole thing and doesn't just stop halfway through or restart halfway through. Once you've done that, go up to your perspective, right click, select cameras and select camera 1. So now that's put you into your camera view. So if you hit play again, it will still run the same course, but you'll be able to actually see the course itself. And then to jump back, just right click, perspective, and then scroll out. And that's how you can create a tunnel with an animation. Thanks for watching.